There we are, folks. We got done watching the man make the hook in the blacksmith shop. We're going to head on down the same side of the street as the blacksmith shop. We're going to head over to the Seagull Herald printing office. This is another stone structure that was moved here. This is a printing shop, which now is in the main barn where they're doing the printing with their single foot pedal press. This building was built in 1839 in Middlefield, New York, 6 miles from here. Benjamin North operated a general store from this building beginning in 1829. So for 10 years it was a store. Later the building will house many functions, possibly including printing. Early 19th century printers derived income from subscription newspapers, job printing, and newspaper advertising. The 1840s Liberty job press inside the building today was used to print the Andes Recorder from 1867 to 1892. Which is the one we saw up in the main building when we first came in. So that foot press is used to print the Andes Recorder for quite a few years back in the 1860s, right after the Civil War, 1867. So you see some of the type still here. The back of the wall there needs a little bit of work. You can see where water damage has gotten that. Taking that paint off that stucco there. But there's many things going on in the back there. They stored their tools and their materials that they needed to print the paper with. Here's another typesetting desk right here. So we're going to head on down the street even farther. We're going to go to one of my favorite places, Dr. Jackson's doctor's office. Now this is a small building. This is an old building. This is exactly 200 years old this year. 1820 this was built in Westford at Seagull County. Originally comprised of only one room, this small Greek Revival style building served as an office for 4 different doctors between 1820 and 1912. The first of whom were brothers, Dr. John Jackson and Dr. Elohim W. Jackson. During this period, rural community physicians usually practiced outside the office, traveling to visit their patients at home. That's why this building is so small. Only a small office was needed for preparing drugs, keeping records, storing medical equipment, and occasionally treating patients. So when you watch Little House on the Prairie, you'll see Doc Baker has a tiny office on the back of the post office. Well, this is why he didn't need a big office, because basically all he did was met people. People would bring somebody into town if it was an emergency, but basically it was used for keeping his records and keeping his medicine and making his medicines. Now we have the doctor's office. Well, next to that, we of course would have what? We have a pharmacy. Now, the pharmacy is where the drugs were made. This is in 1832, this home, this brick building in Hartwick, New York, which is just down the road from a few miles from here. This structure was originally built by Dr. Paris Pray. Dr. Freeborn Garrison Thrall took over the pharmacy practice and building in 1835. Dr. Thrall mixed medicines and remedies grown in his garden, and we'll show you that in a second. And his supplies he purchased from wholesalers. Thrall hosted gatherings of physicians and performed dissections, fun dissections, on the 2nd floor. So here's the herb garden here that he planted himself. And in the summer and the spring and the fall, you would have all these herbs out here that he used for medicinal purposes. And they're all labeled by different names by which they could use and use for medicinal purposes, medicine. So up there on the 2nd floor, wish we could get up there. He could perform dissections. Probably a lot of amputations and things like that. And we're looking back toward the front of the museum here, up toward the beginning. Looking over here at the Bump Tavern. We'll get to that in a minute. And the church. We're going to go here to the next building here after the herbal medicinal garden. This is be the law office. Every town had to have a lawyer, of course. 1829, this building came right here in Cooperstown, New York. One of the most famous residents, Justice Nelson, used this law office when at home in the village of Cooperstown. Nelson had a long distinguished legal career, but he's most known for his involvement in the U.S. Supreme Court decision in 1857, the Dred Scott decision. The landmark case ultimately denied an enslaved family's freedom and contributed to the transformation of American society. All right, so we're going to stop here at the law office. We're going to start up another post in just a moment.